I was born in 1945, born in Mexico, in Chihuahua, Mexico. Probably brought into the States when I was in the age of maybe 2 or 3 years of age. Raised in Southern California in a small town called Oxnard, just north of Los Angeles, in a coastal town. The high schools that I went to, or the junior high school that I was at, I was looked at as an equal. But being Hispanic, I was very conscientious of the fact that I was being raised with others who were born in Los Angeles, Malibu, Ventura, and every time I would come back and write my name would be Alfred, but when they wanted it officially it would be Alfredo. And where were you born? And I wanted to put down Ventura or some other luxurious place, but I had to put down Chihuahua, Mexico, and I had no idea what I was writing, or just embarrassing. But then I realized the fact that being brought up or being brought into this world, you don't have that choice. As I tell people, I'm an immigrant by birth and American by choice, and I'm very proud of that.
Alfred Rascon enlisted in the Army in 1963 at the age of 17. He became a medic with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. Rascon arrived in Vietnam in May of 1965.
Eventually what happens, you do start seeing people that are killed. You end up realizing that you're a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old kid, and you've got a medical bag that's not appropriate to what you're doing. Then all of a sudden you've got to live by the wits and the skills of your self-teaching and the teachings of others that you got who are senior medics, and realize that as a 19-year-old, you're not God.
In March of 1966, Rascon's reconnaissance platoon was sent on a mission called Operation Silver City in the area of Long Con, Vietnam.
We're in an area in which they had good intelligence that there was a North Vietnamese regiment, or 2 of them. But what happened was that the first 2 or 3 days we kept on running into ammunition caches, weapons caches. And I'd been around, like I said again, for a very long time, and I'd been in firefights, and I had been where death was around you, and I had found caches of weapons, but not the way we were finding these things. And on the 15th of March, my reconnaissance platoon ran into another large cache of weapons on the side of this little mountain. But it was a very ominous day, and that evening at about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, which ends up being the 16th, we were mortared. Very quickly, and it was over with. And probably at about 6 o'clock that morning on the 16th of March, and we heard this horrendous firefight going on about 2 or 3 kilometers away from us. And we were to find out that the 2nd Battalion, our sister battalion, was surrounded in an area which was called Landing Zone Zulu Zulu. Probably at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they literally ended up putting the other 2 companies and the reconnaissance platoon, which is us, into the foray, and literally said, get the recon platoon up in the front, have the other companies follow you, and get up to where the firefight's going on. It was the earth about to break up. I mean, it was total chaos, and I had no idea what was going on in front of me, other than the fact that somebody said, hey doc, somebody's wounded. Somehow one of the machine guns ended up next to the trail, and probably when the firefight started, that individual was cut down. He was laying on the trail. We had 2 or 3 individuals trying to get to him. Nobody could get to him because where you laid, that's where you stayed, and that's how intense the firefight was. I remember getting up to the front, and I remember the platoon sergeant, Jacob R. Cook, telling me, Doc, stay where you are, don't move, you're gonna get your ass shot. I said, okay, and I took off and went forward anyway. Twice or 3 times I tried getting up, I tried getting to him, and every time I was taken down from the gunfire, I just couldn't do it. I don't know what possessed me to do it again, but I literally got up, got in between his legs, and as I'm laying there, he's getting hit. And I'm not being touched. I have no idea what's going on around him. I'm trying to get my hands to him where I could come back and see what's wrong with him. And what I ended up doing, literally, I ended up putting my body, and I turned it around, and I'm facing him then, and I've got my back to a machine gun. And I got hit. Apparently hit me in the hip, went up my spine and came out of my collarbone. and I dragged Thompson off the trail. And immediately I heard somebody else yelling, "I'm out of ammo, I'm out of ammo." I came up to him and found out he was shot in the leg. I'm trying to take care of his leg. He's telling me, "God damn it, Doc, stay the hell away from me." I kept on saying, "You're shot in the leg. Doc, stay the hell away from me." And he ended up using a very nice four-letter word to tell me more distinct as to what to say. I kept on telling him, "You're shot." Well, what I ended up doing, I ended up ripping his pant leg open, and I think I patched up his leg. In the meantime, he's telling me, "I need ammo, I'm running out of ammo." And apparently this intense conversation goes on, and I'm telling him, "Oh yeah, I just took Thompson off the trail. He's got ammo." And I'm thinking Gibson's gonna go get the ammo. He says, "Doc, we'll get the ammo." Well, being as dumb as I am, I went after the ammo. I went after Thompson. Thompson was dead. There's nothing I could do for him. I took 2 bandoliers that he had on his person. I went back and gave them to Gibson. And as I turned around, a hand grenade went off at some distance. Then another hand grenade went off and it took off my face, or I thought it was my face. What happened, I got hit from here to here. It ripped literally my face. I think it took a couple of inches off the back of my neck, in the forehead, in the nose. My life had stopped at that moment. I'm already shot in the hip. I can't move around that much, but when I was hit in the face, everything went literally to a slow motion. I didn't want to play anymore. I didn't want to take care of anybody, but then I had to come back and put myself together again, gather my composure. As I'm laying there, I happened to look up the trail. All of a sudden I realized that the M60 machine gun, the spare barrel, and I don't know, 200 or 400 rounds of ammunition are still laying on the trail. And the trail is probably no further than 10 yards away from the North Vietnamese. And you could hear them jabbering, and you could hear the whistles going off. And I don't know why, I just went back and I decided I was gonna go back and grab the M60 machine gun, got back on the trail, grabbed him, took him off the trail, never got touched. Then immediately there's another hand grenade that goes over my head, and I saw this individual trying to get up. He was shot in the back. And as I got to him, I threw myself on him. I thought the hand grenades were gonna harm him. I didn't realize the fact that, hey, listen, that's a pretty stupid thing to do because you're the one who's gonna get nailed. Well, I did get nailed. The hand grenades went off, and as Neil says, I saved his life.
When another grenade landed near a wounded sergeant, Rascon once again used his own body to shield the injured soldier from the blast. It was only when he began to lose consciousness that he was evacuated to a field hospital.
About the 5th day when I was in the hospital and the recon platoon came back, there was some mention of the fact that I was put in for the Medal of Honor. I really didn't care. I mean, I knew I was pretty banged up, and I was on my way to Japan. And that was it. Got on with my life, went back, spent, I think, 3 months in the hospital in Japan, went back to school, worked full-time, had a real bad limp, and didn't realize it till 1984, when I was at an airborne reunion, the fact that I was there with members of the recon platoon from my 1st Battalion. And I was told, "Hey, Doc, how does it feel to be a Medal of Honor recipient?" And I said, "I don't know why. You talked to the wrong person." I said, "Doc, we put you in for the Medal of Honor in 1966. We wrote you up for the Medal of Honor in 1966. He said, "Oh, okay." Thereafter was a 6 or 7 year journey for them to come back and make what they thought was a wrong or right, not by the fact that anything had happened, but by the fact that something was lost. In which the Army went back and acknowledged the fact that the paperwork was lost, and it took them a few years to find it. I was presented the medal on the 8th of February of the year 2000 by President Clinton. And I had 7 members of my recon platoon who are still alive there with me that day. People may know there are thousands of people who deserve awards, but it's just the circumstances of what's there. Sometimes people aren't there to write them up. Sometimes people forget about them. And sometimes things just fall through the cracks. I think the greatest thing that was said about me was that somebody mentioned, why does somebody want to come back and give Rascon the Medal of Honor after so many years? And the response by one of the individuals from the recon platoon was that we don't want to change history, we just wanted to correct it. And I think that speaks for itself.